So welcome to this live stream this Sunday evening. So my apology in case you can't hear me clearly. Just know it's the air condition and I'm going to try to turn it off and regulate it. So okay. So today, okay, let's wait for you to come on board before I continue. Today is on. I'm sure you're going to love the topic. The other time I talked about how the year is coming to an end in our last live stream we had 2 days ago. I talked about the importance of reflecting, recharging, and realigning for what? For the year 2026. Okay, so this is behind the scene. Just this behind the scene. Let me just give you a little. Okay, this behind the scene on my work decks. Okay, overview of what we had the last time. So last time we talked about the importance of reflecting, recharging, and realigning for a better 2026. And then I talked about the needs for us to place value on our priorities. What is that thing you want to achieve for the year 2026? What is that thing you want to achieve? It's now you start planning it. It's now you start volume. Please, the volume. Your volume is very good in here. Thank you. Thank you. So, so this is the time that you have to take. You can lower it, or let me give you a piece. Okay. Okay. So this is it. Because whatever is playing out here. So this is very important. It's very important that we try to mood this last days or the last weeks that is going to wrap up this year 2025. So it's very important. So today I'll talk about the 50, 30, and 20 rules, financial story. So to dive in, let me give you a hint of what the 50, 30, and 20 rule is all about. So the 50, 30, and 20 rule is a simple and effective way to allocate your income, your money, your hard-earned money towards different expenses. When I say the hard-earned money, even if you're a content creator, it's not easy to put up content. Even though you run businesses, it's not easy to put up those businesses. You understand? So whatever you're doing, so far you sweat or you work towards, it's really not easy. So that is why we are giving it rules, these laid down laws in quotes that will guide us in achieving a better 2026. Okay, so the 50, 30, and 20 rule is a simple and effective way of us allocating our income, our funds, our whatever money, financial earnings. It's a better way to allocate our income towards different expenses. Okay, money, one thing about money, like the book of Proverbs said, there's a proverb that said money is like a bird that flies. So you have to be the one to cage it. You have to discipline yourself and tell your money where to go. You understand? You have to tell your money where to go, so that you won't end up at the end of a month wondering where your money went to. You understand? Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sampson. I can see your comments. That's true. I really appreciate your acknowledgements on this live chat. Okay, so 50%, let's dive into it, how it works, how the 50, 30, and 20 rule works. So 50% is for necessity. 50% is for what? Necessity. I don't know if you can hear me very well. I don't want to shout, okay? 50% is for necessity. So you have to allocate 50% of your income towards necessary expenses like rent, mortgages, utilities, whether electricity, whether water, whether gas or internet. So the 50, 30, 20 rule indicate that you have to allocate 50% of your expenses or your money towards what important things, towards necessities, towards your need. Electricity, mortgage, water, light, gas, those things that will give you basic comforts. Okay, so your groceries are still part of the 50% allocation. Your transportation, either your car loan, insurances, gas, or maintenance, or whatever you're doing. Okay, so this is how you're going to allocate it. Okay, and then also your gas and maintenance of your cars or your car. Okay, so that is what the 50% basically does. And then also another angle is minimum payments on debts, maybe your credit cards, your loan. And so those in the Western countries, okay? So we pay car loan, we pay insurances, we pay all of these. So your minimum payments on debts of credit card, your loans, all of that fall on this 50%. So for instance, if you're earning 100,000 in whatever currency, you should know 50% can be allocated towards this direction. Also, let's dive into the 30%. After this, I'm going to tell us a story. Just watch, hang on, I'm going to tell us a story on this. Okay, so also we have 30%. No, we've talked about 50%, so now it's 30%. So now the 30% is for discretionary spending. 30% is for what? Discretionary spending. 50% is for necessity. Now, you might want to wonder, what is discretionary? Now, discretionary, let's hear what dictionary has to say about discretionary. Now, discretionary refers to expenses or spending that are not essential or necessary for daily living. These expenses are typically related to wants rather than your needs. Okay, so in the scale of preferences, according to this 50, 30, 20 rule, okay, the 50% is your need. Those are your need: the food, the shelter, the clothing, the transportation you take to your place of business, your car loan, insurances, whatsoever. It all has to do with your 50%. Okay. Also, we're talking about the 30%, and it's for your discretionary spending. And according to what I read out, your 30% of discretionary spending has to do with other kind of spending that are not your need. So you can give this video a thumbs up if you're on. You can give it a like, okay? You can give it a like. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I can see it coming. I really appreciate. You can also drop your comments or your takes or your questions whatsoever on the live chat. When this podcast ends, I will still give an answer to it. So discretionary spending refers to spendings that are not essential or necessary for our daily living. These expenses are typically related to our wants rather than our needs. Examples of discretionary expenses: number one, entertainment. Now, in the Western world, this holiday period, this summer vacation, or this Christmas vacation rather, it's the time whereby you see parents, they want to take their kids to places like Disney Worlds, they want to take their kids to some amusement park for entertainment and relaxation. You understand? So now, entertainment falls in this description, or the 30% usage of your income or your expenses. So entertainment like dining out, where you go for your dinner dates, movie, your cinemas, your concerts, even your hobbies. You want to chase your hobbies. Maybe you love arts. You want to go to a museum, or you want to go and carry out some artwork and all of that. Okay. So these are also, they're just basic ones, things you do to satisfy your appetite or craving. Not really necessarily food, but things that gives you pleasure, that gives you relaxation, that gives you comfort. So these are what your discretionary expenses. And then the second one is travel. When you spend your money on entertainment, it's your 30% allocation of your income or your expenses. The second one is travel. When you go on vacations, when you go on weekends getaway, you go on your picnics and the rest of them, they all fall under travel, which is what's supposed to be 30% usage of your money. Okay. This one is basically used for your wants, rather, they are not your needs. Okay, so when you get to 100% income, you have to divide it according to the 50, 30 and 20 rule if you want to grow financially. So the 50 is allocated for your need, your basic needs like your rent, your car loan, your food, shelter, clothing. And then the 30% now falls in your relaxation, your entertainment, your travels, or your personal pampering. You want to go for your salon service, you want to go to the spa for spa treatment, you want to go to hit the gym, all those gym membership, or maybe you join some kind of union. You guys do in Nigeria, we call it alawi. It's a situation whereby, sorry, we call it akao, yeah, akao. Situation whereby some group of friends or union members come together. Okay, this month you bring 50, I bring 50, like that, and then we rotate the money among our circle of friends or union member, so that, for instance, this month you want to achieve buying a deep freezer, a refrigerator. When the whole group member contributes 50,000, $50, 50 rands, euro, pounds, whatever your currency is. Okay, so when they contribute this money and then they give it to me, for instance, this month of December, I'm the one taking the money. I'm going to use this money now and fix whatever need I have. And then the next month it goes to the next person, just like that. So the essence of this one is to be able to compile some huge capital. You can use that as a startup capital for your business. You can use it to purchase whatsoever you want to purchase. If you know you don't have an extra source of income, if you know you don't have place whereby you can get money, this is what we do in Nigeria here. We call it akao. That is a contribution. In contribution is an award. So this is personal pampering. It still falls under personal pampering. For instance, you can still use that money for that after your essentials. So after your entertainment, travels, personal pampering, and also for upgrades or luxury items like your designer clothes, designer bags, shoes, wigs, and the rest of them, your high-end electronics, your luxury goods. These are what discretionary expenses are all about. And after removing 50% of your income for the base is the essential, your 30% can now fall into these ones, your travel, entertainment, and the rest of them, like I mentioned earlier. And now the characteristics of discretionary expenses. You might want me to dive further to explain what this discretionary expenses all about. So let me give you the characteristics. Number one is that it's optional. It's optional. Remember, I told that it's not a need. It's not a need, so it's optional. You can choose to go for your spa, you can choose to register for the gym, you can choose to go for travels, for vacation, you can choose to go on dinner, hangouts, you can choose to go for hiking, you can choose for your concerts, your hobbies, movies, cinema, and the likes of them, even weekend getaway. You can choose for that. So the characteristics of this is that number one is optional. You can choose to spend money on these items or not. They are not basic. They are not necessary. And remember, if you have the money, you have the capacity to fund this lifestyle. Of course not. Nothing is holding you back. Go for it, okay? Number two is flexible. You can adjust the amount you spend on discretionary expenses because they are not your need. They are not a do or die affair. You can choose to do it or not, and that's where the optional angle comes in play. And then about the third one is that is non-essential. Your discretionary expenses are not essential. These expenses, they are not necessary for your daily living. You can do without it. It's not food, it's not clothing, it's not shelter. Okay, so these are the 30% falls into, and then the other one is the 20%. Now the 20% goes for your savings and debt repayments. Your savings and debt repayments. This is where the 20% of your expenses fall into. Okay, so now allocate 20% of your income towards number one, savings like emergency funds and retirement. We shouldn't wait till we are old. We are old and fragile. Like we don't have that youthful exuberance in us. We shouldn't get to that point before we start planning for our old age. So your pension, your savings and retirement fund starts with this your 20%, and then your debt repayment, paying off high interest debts, credit card and the rest. So these rules helps you prioritize your expenses and ensure you are saving for the future, for a better 2026, 27, 5, 10, 20 years from now. Okay, and it helps you also to make progress. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're also equally sweet. Thank you, Mr. or Miss Yoke. Okay, Yokesh Mohan, I really appreciate. Thank you very much. So this rule helps you to prioritize your expenses. It ensures you are saving for the future and make progress on your debts by following the 50, 30, 20 rule. It can help you. Let me list out three benefits. There are three benefits of following the 20, 30, and then the 50, 30, and 20 rule. Number one benefit is that it helps you manage your finances effectively. By the time you inculcate the necessary discipline and determination to to tell your money or your income where to go to, it will help you manage your finances effectively. You can be able to track where your money goes to. You won't sit back and like, I had 200 euros, I have $200, I had 200,000 naira, and then how come this money just vanished? Like, you can't be able to trace. It helps you to get rid of all of these. Something you're able to track. You understand? Something you're able to track, so you can be able to manage it. And this is how money works. Money works well when you're able to discipline it. When you fix an eye on it. When you tell your this month I'm spending this on this, and remember you break these three things into what? Number one, your need, number two, your wants, and number three, your savings. Okay, so it helps you manage your finances effectively. And the second benefit of the 50, 30, 20 rules is that it reduces your debts and build savings. It reduces your debt and then you build saving. And the third one, which is the last one, it helps you achieve long-term financial stability. Something you're able to manage through discipline, you're also able to achieve. Check your VP, your time. Okay, so that's it for the lecture. So let's go about story. I promise you that I'm going to tell the story. Okay, it's about how Clara was able to use the 50, 30, 20 rule to pay off her debts. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the weight of her debts. Okay, when she was drowning in debt and didn't know how to escape it. So Clara was actually reaching out for help because she was feeling overwhelmed. She's in her mid-20s and she has accumulated a significant amount of debt from student loan, credit cards, and personal loan. She's barely scraping by and feels like she's getting nowhere at the end of the day. And then she's been trying to make ends meet. But every month, it seems like she's just throwing money at her debts. Okay? Now, let me make this thing look like more real. So, let's assume I'm Clara, for instance, okay? Let's assume I'm Clara. So, the weight of debt, so you can understand the story very well. I'm drowning in debts and I don't know how to escape. I'm reaching out for help because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm in my mid-20s and I have accumulated a significant amount of debt from student loan, from credit cards, and personal loan. I'm barely scraping by and I feel like I'm getting nowhere at the end of the day. I've been trying to make ends meet, but every month it seems like I'm just throwing money at my debts without making any personal progress. I've heard about the 50, 30, 20 rule, but I'm not sure if it can really work for me. I have debts from credit card, from student loan, and I don't think it can work for me. Has anyone else used this rule to pay off debts? Okay, so now I also tried to understand the 50, 20, 30 rule by learning about it. So I did some research on the 50, 30, 20 rule, and I think it could be a game changer for me. For those who don't understand, the rule suggests allocating 50% of your income towards necessities. Hi, Mr. Gigi. Hi, glad to have you here. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Samson. You're welcome, Mr. Yokesh Mohan. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Okay, so remember that the rule suggests allocating 50% of your income towards necessities like your rent, your utilities, and groceries. 30% towards discretionary expenses or spending, which are basic expenses that are not really need. They are not really essential. They are something I can do without, okay? And 20% towards saving and debt repayments. I think this could work for me, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to stick to it. Has anyone else tried this rule? If you've tried this rule, please indicate in the live chat. What were some challenges you faced? Okay, now I moved on towards creating a budget, making a budget and sticking to it. I created a budget based on the 50, 30, 20 rule, and I'm determined to stick to it. It's not going to be easy, but I'm willing to make some sacrifices to get out of debt. I have cut back on non essential spending and I'm prioritizing on debt repayments. I'm feeling hopeful for the first time in a long time. Wish me luck, guys. So let's delve into the first month on how I was able to come out of this debt. Okay, 1 month down, many months to go. It's been a month since I started following the 50, 30, 20 rule, and I'm surprised at how well it's working for me. I've been able to pay more towards my debts than I expected, and I'm feeling more in control of my finances. Of course, it's not all easy. I have had to make some tough choices and cut back on things I enjoy, but it's worth it in the long run. Keep me accountable. The power of accountability, okay? So, I'm going to tell you about the importance of accountability, what I learned about this. I wanted to share a valuable lessons I have learned on my debt repayment journey. The importance of accountability. Having a supportive community like this one, okay, has been a game changer for me. You guys keep me motivated and on track. I'm grateful for that. If anyone else is struggling with debts, I encourage you to share your story and get support. It makes a big difference. Okay. One other thing that helped me was I was able to overcome setbacks. I had a setback this month, which is the first month. My car broke down and I had to pay to repair out of my pocket. It sets me back a bit, but I'm not giving up. I'm adjusting budget and getting back on track. It's not easy, but I'm determined to pay off my debts. Has anyone else has to do with the unnecessary or unexpected expenses while trying to pay off debts? If you have, please write it down. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm telling a story on the 50-30 rule, a financial story. I'm sharing a story from a character named Clara. Thank you very much, Mr. Gigi. I'm okay. Okay, so the progress I've made so far, I'm halfway to financial freedom. I just wanted to share an update on my progress. This was later in what Clara encountered later, like her progress. She's giving us a climatic progress on how she was able to pay off her debts. Okay, I just wanted to share an update on my progress. I have been following the 50, 30, 20 rule for 6 months now, and I have made significant progress on my debts. I'm feeling more confident and motivated than ever. I couldn't have done it without this community's support. Thank you, YouTube. Okay, stay motivated on the debt repayment journey. Okay, the finish line is in sight. Okay, I'm almost there, guys. I can see the finish line. I have been following the 50, 30, 20 rule for over a year now. Now, see, it took Clara 1 year because she was owing the students, she had loan or debt to pay from the student community, and then she ordered. Thank you very, Mr. Sampson. Hi to you. Okay, remember she was owing she was owing debts from credit cards and from the student's loan. Okay, so it took her 1 year following the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, I can see the finish line. I've been following this rule for over a year now. I'm proud to say that I am almost debt free. It's been a long and challenging journey, but it's been worth it. I'm excited to start building wealth. This is really amazing. It's a testimony. She's been able to build wealth following this rule. Oh my gosh, this is really, really amazing. It's really wonderful to hear. I'm excited to start building wealth and achieving my financial goals. Thank you, YouTube, for the support and encouragement. Okay, and then the last one, she did it. She was able to do it. I'm debt free. I'm thrilled to announce that I'm debt free. It feels amazing to have finally paid off my debts. I couldn't have done it without the 50-30-20 rule and the support of this community. Thank you, YouTube, for being a part of my journey. I'm excited this new chapter of my life and to see what the future holds. So you can see what Clara did. Clara was able to overcome this and her debts. She was able to repay her debts, and from the student's loan and the credit card following the 50-30 rule. So now let me tell you the story of Pascal, and then I'm going to tell it as though I am Pascal. How Pascal was able to Pascal's budgeting journey from struggling to thriving. Pascal was struggling and then he was able to thrive. Now let's read what Pascal has to say. Okay, Pascal's interesting story of his budgeting journey from struggling to thriving. Pascal's life was a constant juggling act. His paycheck barely covered his expenses. Wow. And this is the story of most underdeveloped or third world countries. Like, we are working and then we are okay, what I'm reading, okay, let me show you my screen. I'm actually reading the story of Pascal. Okay, I'm reading about the 50-30 rule. I'm sharing the testimony or the breakthrough of Pascal, his budgeting journey from struggling to striving. So, Mr. Blue, hope you can hear me very well. Okay, so this is what I'm reading out. I'm reading out how Pascal was able to use his budgeting journey to move from struggling to thriving. Okay, so Pascal life was a constant juggling act. Okay, his paycheck barely covered his expenses, and then he often found himself wondering where all his money went. Himself, I'll do better next month. But the cycle of overspending continued. Pascal felt like he was drowning in debt, with no lifeline in sight. One day, Pascal received a notice from his bank about an overdraft fee. He was shocked to see how much in fees alone. This wake-up call prompted Pascal to take control of his finances. Pascal knew he needed a change, but he didn't know where to start. Now let's move into the budgeting journey of how Pascal began. Okay, Pascal began by tracking every single transaction. Okay, every single transaction, and this brings us to the importance of tracking our finances. No, Pascal was struggling, and then now he's being able to thrive. Okay, so the budgeting journey began. Oh gosh, let's wait for some people to come up because we need to get the insight from this beautiful and interesting piece. If you know you're interested in some financial story, please just hang on, just stay put. I'm going to wrap up soon, okay? But I want to really delve into this. So Pascal began by tracking every single transaction, no matter how small. He downloaded a budgeting app. So please go and get your diary. I need us to get our diary, our notepad. If you use Google Docs in documentation, I need you to do this now because you're doing yourself a huge favor. Let's wait for them to go get their diary and continue. you've gotten your diary, please indicate it in the live chat. And don't forget to give this video a like. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, okay? We need to jot down the budgeting journey. The budgeting journey, okay? From struggling to thriving. I'm waiting for you to come live since the word is currently on. Please go and get a jotter, get a notepad, because we need to know how Pascal was able to move from struggling to thriving. Okay? We need to know how he was able to do that. So Pascal began by what's number one, tracking. So he writes it down, tracking every single transaction. Tracking every single transaction, no matter how small. Okay? Excuse me. Okay. I'm waiting to know if you've gotten your diary or notepad, please indicate it down. We need to learn this together. Pascal also used the 50, 30, and 20 rule to able to move from this. Remember, this is not a quick get rich syndrome. It's something that took time and took processes. Okay, so Pascal began by what? Tracking every single transaction. Okay, no matter how small. He downloaded a budgeting app and started logging his expenses. It wasn't easy, but he was determined to understand where his money was going. Pascal discovered that his daily coffee habit was costing him a fortune. Now you see why he said we need to get our notepad, because there are a lot of key words, there are a lot of things we can learn from this live stream. There are a lot of things that we can learn from it. So please, I'm waiting for you to come on board so we can wrap this up. Okay, Mr. Samson, Mr. Gigi, and the rest. Okay, so what did I say? I said Pascal he tracked every of his finances. He wanted to know where his money was going. Ever since he got the message from his bank, he screamed, where is all this money? So this money has been going, like vast amounts of his money has been going away, and then he just couldn't trace it. Like, so he had this huge amount of money, and oh gosh. So Pascal decided that he was going to track his money, and then he downloaded the budgeting app, and then he started logging in his expenses, which wasn't easy, but determination. Now, right, was determination. Tracking every expenses was, and determination. Pascal discovered something. He discovered that his daily coffee habit was costing him a small fortune. Now, he decided to deploy the 50, 30, 20 rule in order to curb his habits that was costing him his money. Okay, Pascal learned about the 50, 30, 20 rule. 50% of his income should go towards his necessity, 30 towards discretionary spending, and 20% towards the saving and debt repayments. He adjusted his budget accordingly, prioritizing needs over wants. Pascal felt a sense of accomplishment as he started to allocate his funds more efficiently. Okay, now let's dive into how he was able to cut back on unnecessary expenses. Now remember that talking about unnecessary expenses, he discovered that it was his coffee habits. So now what's that habit that you think you have that is eating up your money, Like, it's not bad to spend our money on also, but those those habits that are not helpful to our health, those habits that are not helpful to you or your health as a whole, this is the time to sit back, and think through them. If you don't want to keep asking yourself, where is my money going to? This is the time to sit back and think towards the direction, okay? So, Pascal identifies areas where he would cut back. He started cooking at home, okay? He started cooking at home instead of eating out. He cancelled subscription services he didn't use and found free alternatives for entertainment. These small changes added up, and Pascal began to see the impact on his finances. And then he decided to build an emergency fund. Pascal's next goal, after cutting down on his coffee habits and cooking his meals at home, unsubscribing from some subscription that he wasn't using, okay, that he was able to see some improvements on his finances. Pascal's next goal was to build an emergency fund. He aimed to save 3 months worth of expenses. Wow, 3 months of his expenses. He aimed to save 3 months worth of expenses in case of unexpected events. It wasn't easy, but Pascal persisted, slowly building his safety nets. He delved into paying off his debts. With his emergency fund in place, Pascal focused on paying off his debts. He created a plan, prioritizing high-interest debt-free. First, those high-interest debt-free, he had to clear them up. So those interests are huge, won't be coming out of his money, and then at the end of the day, getting him financially stranded. So he created a plan, prioritizing his high-interest debt first. Pascal threw every spare penny at his debts, every spare penny. After he has created it 50-30-20 rule, any money he just gets, he just throws it into paying his debts, determining to become debt free. Then he started investing for his future. Once Pascal has paid off his high interest debts, he started investing in diversified portfolio. He learned about compound interest and the importance of starting early. Pascal felt a sense of pride as his investment began to grow. He felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. You know, when you set a goal and then you decide to embark on that goal, there's a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment when you're finally able to achieve that. And that's exactly what Pascal faced. Okay, he started investing in his future. And then the next one was avoiding lifestyle creep. Please take note of this. I'll still go back and give a summary of each and everything Pascal was able to do at the end of this live stream. Okay, avoiding lifestyle creep. As Pascal's income increased, he faced the temptation of lifestyle creep. Should I go to club? Should I go on vacation? Should I get the latest this, latest that? And the likes. So as Pascal's income increased, remember he has saved up 3 months worth of his expenses. Okay, and then he has been able to pay off his debts. So he was more or less like he felt this relief, financial relief, and then his finances finally started growing. Okay, So as Pascal's income increased, he faced the temptation of lifestyle creep. He wanted to upgrade his lifestyle. Maybe buy the latest phone, gadgets, electronics, and likes. Maybe car, vacation, and the rest. Okay? So that was the temptation Pascal faced. Because what? He now has money. So this brings us to the importance of continuous discipline. Even when we've been able to achieve our high-end goal, even when we've been able to um, achieve that dream, even after using discipline, applying the principles of discipline on 50-30-20 rule, discipline is still needed when we have achieved. It's still very much needed when we've achieved our goal. Okay? So he was tempted. A young girl. Remember Pascal was in his 20s, or is still in his 20s. Okay? He wanted to upgrade his lifestyle, but Pascal remembered his budgeting principles. This is very important. His budgeting principles. He remembered it. Instead, he chose to save and invest extra income, securing his financial future. You see, he was wise enough. There's this saying that penny wise, I know nobody's own for now. Maybe network fluctuation be going on and off, but I really appreciate, and I want us to hang on. Okay, so I want us to hang on. So Pascal was able to achieve his goal. He was able to achieve his goal. He was able to pay off his debts. He was able to achieve the his emergency funds by saving 3 months worth of it. Okay, and then he had some money. Okay, he had some money, and then he started living well, started living large, and then he had the temptation. He had the temptation of living big, probably getting the latest gadgets, upgrading his lifestyle. But then he was wise enough. He knows how far it has took him to achieve or arrive at the current the current financial level he is. So no, he decided to apply wisdom instead of going for those things that will bring him down to the level he worked so hard to actualize or accomplish. He decided to deploy wisdom by investing more and saving more. He saved more, and then he invests his extra income, securing his financial future. Now, I'll tell you about the power of budgeting using Pascal's story. Pascal's budgeting journey has been transformative. He was able to reduce his debts, build an emergency fund, and started investing. Pascal felt more confident and in control of his finances. He realized that budgeting wasn't just about numbers. No, it wasn't just about numbers. It was about achieving your goal and living the life you want. When you achieve your goal and living the life you want, that's what Pascal realized in his transformative budgeting journey. So he was able to overcome financial setbacks that way. Okay, Pascal faced financial setbacks, including car repairs and medical bills. He faced it. Okay. However, he was prepared. You see, this whole financial liberation and the rest, it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a whole lot of discipline. Because even though you can't tell what will happen in the future, his financial plan was able to save him. Okay, remember that he had car repairs and then he had medical bills. That's where emergency funds come into place. So Pascal faced financial setbacks, including car repairs and medical bills. However, he was prepared. He now did what he did. Pascal dipped into his emergency fund and adjusted his budget accordingly. Pascal learns that financial setbacks were inevitable, but with a solid plan, he would overcome. With a solid plan, what he would overcome. Okay, so he was able to actualize what he was able to overcome those financial setback. I'm sorry, I think the the sound from the air condition was way loud. I'm sorry if you weren't hearing me. So we're basically talking about how Pascal was able to overcome his financial setback, his budgeting journey that helped him from struggling stage to thriving stage. Okay, so Pascal's financial setback, even though he later on he had some car repairs to do, car maintenances, and medical bills to handle, because Pascal has been able to save 3 months worth of his expenses, and then he has been able to plan his finances in the way that it was able to accommodate his expenses. For instance, he was a coffee addict. Pascal loved coffee a lot, and then he eats out a lot. So for him to be able to thrive financially from his setback or from his struggling phase, he decided to take some bold step. And the first thing he did was by downloading budgeting app. And after downloading the budgeting app, he started disciplining himself by taking notes of every single transaction he makes. Every single transaction, he records it down. So it was through the recording down of those transactions that Pascal was able to realize that he spends a lot on coffee. And then other things he realized was that he had to stop eating out frequently, and then he started cooking at home. And then he also realized that there are some subscriptions that he already ventured into. He subscribed a lot of services that he didn't use to go back to unsubscribe them. After doing that, he was so determined on paying off his debts because he had a huge debt to pay. So after apportioning or allocating 50% of his income into his necessary essentials, 30% into discretionary spending, like things that were basic wants, those lifestyles and upgrade and all of that, 20% into saving and investing. Then he decided to do his emergency fund saving. After saving 3 months of his expenses, what he spends on a normal day or a monthly expenses, he decided to save 3 months of it in his emergency funds. And then whatever money that comes into Pascal's hand, he decided to do what? Push them into paying his debts. Like this time around, Pascal wanted to clear up all of his debts. And then whenever any money comes, maybe gifts and the rest of them, he would just push it into or throw them into clearing his debt. And this was how Pascal was able to pay off all of his debts. Okay, and then when he had some medical bills to clear up, he used his emergency funds to do that and adjusted his budget accordingly. Pascal learned that financial setbacks were inevitable. It's actually inevitable, but with a solid plan, you can overcome it. Both of us, you and I, can actually overcome it if we have solid plan. Then he started celebrating milestones. Pascal celebrated each financial milestones, no matter how small. It's important to celebrate your wins because it's not easy. The fact that you're able to discipline yourself and achieve, even though, like, I bought this mini HP laptop during my undergraduate days. I bought it. My husband even showed me today. It's been years because I've been using this desktop. I've been using this desktop for like since January, so I've not really paid attention. I've not really paid attention to my mini desktop, but it was because I was able to discipline myself. I had to sell my iPhone then, and then I was able to buy this desktop, and then it served its purpose of then. So I celebrated it. I was so happy because when I graduated, I was the second best graduating student, and then seeing me achieve this, I celebrated it. So it's very important that we celebrate our financial milestones, no matter how small. So Pascal treated himself to a nice dinner. He cooked it at home, of course, because he noticed that when he goes out to maybe to dinner out and the rest of things, he spends a huge like amounts of money. So celebrating his milestone, he was still prudent. He was still being judicious in his spending. Okay, and then when he paid off his significant debts, he cooked at home to celebrate it. These celebrations motivated Pascal to continue his budgeting journey. So you see, it's very important that you and I download this budgeting app. If you know you don't know how your money goes, maybe you always wonder, I earn this huge, I earn this small, whatever you, even if it's average, whatever you earn is enough, my dear. It's not really enough, but whatever you earn is enough for you to celebrate, because it's not easy to work. It's not easy to get some sort of income. Is really not easy. So whatever you are getting at this moment, celebrate it, but you have to plan it so at the end of the day you won't look back and start wondering how your money vanished or maybe grew wings and fly away. Okay, so you have to download this budgeting app and check your habits. Check your habits. Is there anything you're spending too much on? You need to curtail it and know, do what works best for you. Okay, then giving back. As Pascal's financial stability grew, he began to give back to his community, because now, excuse me, he has been able to what grow, because he has been able to, oh sorry, okay, so because he has been able to grow financially. Now there's an adage a wise man said. This wise man said that I was reading something, I think last year or 2 years ago, that helped me. When I finished my undergraduate program in the university, um that's it's almost 3 years now. 3 years ago, yeah. When I graduated, I got a job immediately, and when I got the job, I felt like I've arrived. Like when I mean I've arrived, not for myself. I'm this kind of person that I barely spend on myself. I'll have money and then I'm ready to spend that money on people. I'm really ready to give. I give a lot. So I started giving out the money to my friends, people that have been of help and support to me during my undergraduate days. I started putting calls through to them, giving. And then I noticed at some point that I became so financially broke because I was being financially reckless. But then there was something I read that was of help to me. And what I read was that I read that it's very important that what I'm sorry, excuse me, I read that it's important for us to um build ourselves first. It's very important to build us before we start helping, It's just like this man, this wise financial advisor was like, just assume you're climbing a mountain, and then as you're climbing the mountain you have a lot of this thing on you. You're carrying a lot of bags and the likes, and then you're still carrying people and the rest on your back. You're bound to fall. Like you're bound to fall or fail, because you have not gotten to the peak of the mountain. You have not got settled or balanced, and then you're going to help people. It's not bad in helping, but if you know that what you have at that point in time is not able to carry yourself first or carry your dreams, then you have to limit or you have to curtail the essence. You have to plan. You understand? You have to plan. So when you've gotten to the peak of the mountain, you're now relaxed. You've dropped off those bag and load you were carrying. That is when you can now throw down rope to lift others up. So this is how money works. Okay? Yeah. So Pascal, because Pascal has been able to achieve his dreams, he has been able to pay off his debts, he has been able to work on his budgeting journey. He has been able to move from struggling to he has been able to move from struggling to I'm wrapping up from struggling to striving. He has been able to build emergency fund that can take care of his car insurances, his medical, HMOs, and the rest. That was when he was able to give back to the society. Of course, he celebrated his wins, and then he started giving back to his community. He volunteered his time and resources, helping others achieve financial literacy. Pascal felt a sense of purpose. Pascal felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment doing this. There's a sense of purpose and fulfillment you get actualizing your goal. And finally, last but not the least, he applied the snowball effect. Pascal hard work and dedication created a snowball effect for him. His investments grew. He started to see the fruits of his labor even at a tender age. He was in his 20s, but he was able to see the fruits of his labors. The snowball effect. His investments grew, and then he started to see the fruits of his labor. He continued to budget and invest. Thanks very much for the likes, the comments, and the rest. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Keep it coming. So he continued. If you keep liking this, YouTube push it out. So people that needs to hear this will come across the message. And then I don't mind you sharing it as well, so it can get to other people. Oh, Mr. GJ, you said you have to go. Oh, I really appreciate your time here. Thank you very much, because I'm actually wrapping this up right away. So Pascal's hard work and dedication, which created a snowball effect, helped him as his investment grew, and he started to see the fruits of his labor. He continued to budget and invest, because this is not a one-time something, it's a lifetime something. You have to keep doing the right thing. And then he was now confident that his financial future was secured. Lastly, was thriving, not just surviving. Thriving, not just what? Surviving. Pascal's budgeting journey transformed his life. It has transformed his life. He was no longer living paycheck to paycheck. He was no longer on survival mode. Pascal achieved his financial stability goal, and then he was thriving. He continued to budget, invest, give back to the community, inspiring others to take control of their finances. So Pastor's story served as a testament to the power of budgeting and financial discipline. So if you're on, I would like you to tell me whatever you've learned. I'm done with this, like I'm done, and I really appreciate your time. So if you have anything you learned so far, please drop it down in the live chats. If you have any questions, so please drop it down so we can get it answered. And if after this live chat you still have any question to drop down, still drop it down. So remember, we talked about the struggle of Pascal. We talked about his wake-up call when he got the notice from his bank about his overdraft fee and his debts. We talked about his budgeting journey, how it began, and how he was able to deploy this 50, 30, and 20 rule to conquer his financial setbacks. And then we talked about how he was able to cut back on his unnecessary expenses and built an emergency fund, which helped to help his car repairs and medical bills. Okay, also he was finally able to pay off all his debts, and then he lived financially free lives. He also invested in his future. After he invested in his future by paying off his debts and emergency fund, he started avoiding lifestyle creeps, those urge, those hunger to upgrade your life when you know you've not gotten to that stage yet. And then he deployed the power of budgeting using his budgeting app. After overcoming financial setback, he celebrated milestones, and after celebrating milestones, he gave back to his community by teaching and letting people know about the importance of what? Finances. You understand? By volunteering his time and resources, he helped others to achieve their financial literacy. Pascal felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment teaching other people too. And that's how the snowball effects helped his own life personally as his investments grew and he saw the fruits of his labor. So that was it. Budgeting and investing It will help you to build this confidence about your financial future. It helps to give this financial security, and it will help you to thrive, not just survive, not just living paycheck to paycheck. Okay? The other time, the last live stream I had, I talked about something similar, and that was about the 10, 20, and 70 rule. This time around is 50, 30, and 20 rule. Okay? The other time I talked about 10% investment, 20% on working on your this thing, your okay, on your anything, learning a skill or a trade, and then the 70% was for yourself, which is essential. So you can choose to do it either that way or this way. Both way works fine. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Whatever you have any question, you can still drop it over. So call this a day. Bye. Thank you, Mr. Samson. Thank you, everyone that watched. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can drop. Thank you very much. Bye. Let's end this here. So no question.